Welcome to Moonlight Radio. Your next stop is Moonlight Station, the station of life. Please stand by.
Okay, first of all, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are doing well. My voice is recovering slowly but surely. I will try not to do too much yelling though, for the purposes of not straining my voice. But I feel like I've covered the N-word at least maybe 3 or 4 times in 3 or 4 separate occasions in video form and in some live streams, which I feel like I'm gonna need to return to that topic in a live stream as well. But I wanted to make this video to kind of expound on what I'm talking about with regards to the N-word. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is mainly because I had a conversation with someone in the comment section, a viewer. I love my viewers. Y'all know I love all y'all. But I'm also going to keep it real with you guys. And I'm going to try to help you understand why I say some of the things that I say and try to give my points as accurately and as thoroughly as possible and to be as intellectually honest as possible. And so with that said, I thought to myself, I've talked about this topic in the K-pop sense, right? Why we impose this on K-pop, idols and things like that, whether they say the N-word or mouth the N-word, or whether they're using their Korean language and saying the word nega or whatever the case. We tell them, hey, don't say this word. Don't say the N-word. And if we feel like they've mouthed the N-word, even if they said nega, we jump down their throats and go online and run and start just shooting, just going off, right? Guns blazing in the comments on all kinds of social media forums. And I thought to myself, okay, I need to abandon the K-pop narrative for just a moment to talk about just in general the Black community and my problem with the Black community using the N-word as we do, and why it's a double standard to have other ethnicities not being able to use this word, but we apparently can because we're Black. And so because we're Black and our ancestors were enslaved, we can somehow have the right of passage to use a word that is in nature and in essence a racial slur that denotes slavery and property, because this is what slave owners called their property. They called our ancestors the N-word. That was a part of the Black name. It was an identity. They defined us that way. And that word was used to call us ignorant, stupid, that slaves are only good at their job and nothing else. And they wanted to keep us stupid. They didn't want to have us read or write. Some of them actually did, get to read and write. I'm not going to go over all that, but I really feel like we need to talk about this N-word thing. Just in general, the Black community. We cannot keep preaching to everybody else and trying to correct the behaviors of everybody else when we won't even correct our own behavior. We can't keep trying to tell everybody else to be culturally aware of us and then in the same breath declare that the N-word is a part of Black culture. Think about that. A racial slur is a part of Black culture because we reclaimed it, quote unquote, which is not true. We actually repurposed the word. We didn't reclaim it because it was never ours to begin with. We took it, we repurposed it, we changed a letter at the end so that it could be a little bit, more palatable for Black people to use as a term of endearment, and yet it can still be used in the same manner in which white slave owners used it when they were referring to our ancestors back in the slavery days and in Jim Crow. So what's really the difference between Black people saying it and every other ethnic group saying it? Really nothing. If you want to be logical about this, think about this. Please think. I'm making this video so that you guys can think about it. Now, I'm not talking about the people that, hey, I don't use this word, or I used to use it and I don't use it anymore. I'm talking to the people that still do and feel like it's okay, and that Black people should not be told to not use this word on account of everybody else that apparently by virtue of them not being Black can't use the word. That's not, no. We cannot keep doing this. We cannot keep playing this game of you can't say it because you're not Black. I can say it because I'm black. Because I'm black, I am allowed by right, by the very nature of me being free now. I, by right, as a black person and by the color of my skin, I can say this word and use it as a term of endearment to either affirm or demean my fellow black brother or sister. I can use this term, but you can't because you're white. So let me just see if I can break this down. I'm gonna try to be brief, but it probably won't be. First and foremost, you're not really bothered by the word. Just think with me for a moment. You're not bothered by the word. You're bothered by the color and the ethnicity of the person who's using that word. That's what you're bothered by. And that's why it's all of a sudden takes on a different meaning when a white person or an Asian person or any other ethnic group says the word that's not black. Because the color and the ethnicity of that person causes the word that you repurposed and put that letter at the end to make it more palatable for black people to say, causes that word to be changed back into its original state, the original meaning slapped right back on it. You understand what I'm saying? That is not okay. And it's honestly one of the reasons why we still have racism going on the way it does. One of the racial barriers is that other people can't say a word that only black people can say by virtue of them being black. That's racist. And to mimic what I said in the last video, because you'll hear me say this and you'll think that I'm saying, oh, so you're saying that everybody has the right to say it? No. Hear me clearly, please. I'm not saying that everybody has the right to say this word. I'm saying that if we claim this word is so bad and that it denotes slavery and property and all of these other bad things that we claim it means, then not only should all the other ethnicities not say it, but we as black people should also not say the word, because it shows everybody else in the world who's not black that these black people are actually taking this word seriously for the first time in their lives. They actually are treating this word with the disdain and the hate that it deserves. This word does not deserve to be in our vocabulary. I think black people are above this word. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I believe we are above this word. We are not this word, ever. I will never teach my children to call other people the N-word or to let other people call them the N-word. And if they do, tell them that's not who I am, because that's not who you are. And what we need to do is take that word, regardless of how many letters you change to make it more palatable, regardless of repurposing the word, regardless of you feeling like you have an entitlement to say that word because you're black, this is what we need to do. Take that word, throw it back into the past, into the days of slavery and Jim Crow, where it belongs, and leave it there. That's where it belongs, ladies and gentlemen. It does not belong in our present day, because what's going to happen is, and what is happening, is that we are holding on to this word as almost like, how do I say this? Holding on to pain that's not even our pain. Holding on to a burden that's not even ours. That was their burden, our ancestors. And we picked it up and held on to it and tried to make it a term of endearment and a term that affirms our brothers and affirms our sisters. And that's my N-word. You know how we do? Yeah, that's my N-word. You know, smack it up and dab, you know, yeah, that's my, homie, N-word, yeah, that's my N-word. But then we also use it to demean, you know, you a dumb N-word and I can't stand these N-words and da-da-da. You know what I'm talking about. You hear it all the time in black media. You hear it all the time in black music. N-word this, N-word, 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 N-word. You hear it all the time. But this music and this media that we have as Black America is not distributed to just Black America. It's distributed to all of America. All of America has access to this stuff. So if we are serious about this, get rid of the word. Because listen, I'm going to say this. And I kind of skipped over what I was trying to say, but I'm going to get back to it. But I'm not trying to tell you what you can and cannot say. I don't have the right to tell you what you can and cannot say. I'm putting the argument forward to get you to think about it, and then you make the decision. I'm just saying what I believe are good steps, or at least a good step, towards an upward trajectory where Black people and every other ethnicity can at least coexist in a space that is non-racial, right? The N-word gone. And in that case, if the Black community, and I'm gonna get back to this point in a minute, if the Black community gets rid of this word completely, everybody else will take us seriously, and they wouldn't dare use that word. They wouldn't dare use that word. Now, what I was trying to say was, we are carrying that N-word on our shoulder as like pain that we tried to turn into joy. We've packaged it differently, the Black community, and we carry it on our shoulders. This word that brought my ancestors so much pain and basically defined what they were. I'm going to carry it now into my present, and I'm going to pass it down to my children, because we've taken the word and we have turned that word that used to mean one thing into a word that means something else that's lighter and more joyful for Black people to enjoy it, right? And for a long time, it's been seen as like Black people, how do you say it? I guess turning pain into laughter or turning pain into joy, something like that, right? Turning pain into power by taking a word that was used against us and repurposing it so that it could be used for Black people and not against Black people. I get that. My problem with that is this word, regardless, when other ethnicities use it, it's like the power and the joy that you placed into that word to repurpose it, it all of a sudden dies when another ethnicity or skin-colored person says that word. It's like all of that power that you placed within this word for it to be joyful, a word of joy, a word of comfort, a word of endearment, it just dies right there. And then you lose your cool and want to fight the guy or fight the girl because they said the N-word. They didn't even have to call nobody an N-word. They just said it out their mouth. And all of a sudden, you want to put your fists up and be like, say that one more time. All that joy dies right there. Not because of the word, because remember, you repurposed it. It's because of the color of the person who's saying it. That's what causes you to lose it. And then call them a racist and every other word. We carry this word on our shoulders, and then we pass it to our children, and we pass it to our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And so the word never dies. It still stays alive, and we have basically trained our society to embrace the N-word because we're free now. It is a sign that we are free, and we're so free that we can even take a word that was derogatory and turn it into something that's not derogatory unless we want it to be, which actually does not show how free you are. It shows how not free you are because you still can't let this word go. You're so not free in the mind that you took a word from decades past and dragged it with you into your present, and now you're distributing it to your children. That's how not free we are of this word and of the stigma of racism. It's like your ancestor stepped on a tack and you feel the pain of the tack on your foot, even though your foot was not the foot that stepped on the tack. It was your great-great-great-great-grandmother or grandfather's foot. You understand what I mean? We're deceiving ourselves and deluding ourselves into believing that this word is a word that can be used in a good way or can be used in a way that means, hey, you're just my N-word. And then we have the right to also call people the N-word in a derogatory way as well. And we're deluding ourselves into believing that even when we call our brother the N-word in a good way, that it's not derogatory, but it's still derogatory. There's nothing you can do about it. No matter how many times you change it, no matter how many letters you flip around, it will always be derogatory. And so that is the deception that we have taken and basically just swallowed. It's a pill that we've swallowed to cope with the pain of slavery, a pain that we in the modern day could never have even imagined because we were never there. That was the pain of our ancestors, and we're carrying it with us. Here's my other point that I would like to make. What do you think would happen? Just in a hypothetical. Imagine what would happen if, let's say, just Black America. Let's not even add all the other Western countries and nations. Just Black America. If Black America as a whole, what if all the Black people within America decided, you know what? We are done with this word. We're done with it. We're done with what it represents. We have no more of an attachment or affiliation with this word. And so, effective immediately, we are destroying this word in the United States. No more N-word. We're done. We're eradicating it from existence. No longer will we use this word. Point blank, period. End of discussion. Imagine if all the Black community of America came together and decided to do that. Just done with it. Do you understand what an impact that would be? Do you know that that would make headlines? I know it doesn't sound like it would. Oh, it's just the N-word. Because you're used to saying it, and you're used to hearing other people say it. Or maybe you don't say it, but you're used to everybody else saying it around you to the point where it's like, it'd be a cold day in hell, when this N-word would ever be just destroyed, eradicated from existence. Even so, if you think about the reality of that, news headlines would be broadcasting this amazing phenomenon that took place in the United States of America, where all of the Black people, both Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or conservative, all of them came together. Didn't matter what side of the fence you were on, whether you're a Black billionaire or you come from the middle class. Doesn't matter where you are. They all came together and said, you know what, we're done with this word. Now, of course, the Black gangs will probably keep using this word, and the thugs out there will keep using this word because they're ignorant. But if common sense Black America got together and said, we're done with it, this word, we have to stop the double standards. This is a big part of a racial barrier, a racial divide being taken down. This is the beginning of that. Imagine the headlines and what it would do to say people that say it in Europe, people that say it in other countries. And then what about when other countries that are not in Europe hear that America has decided, Black America has decided, no more N-word, we're done. And they actually follow through on it. Do you know how big of an impact we would have on a global scale? I think that would be absolutely amazing. But I don't think that would ever happen. Because we have taken things that are evil and we have made them good or tried to call them good, and they're still evil regardless. You saying the N-word because you're Black doesn't make it better because you're Black. It makes it no better to me because I don't see color when I hear the N-word. I just hear ignorance. And some of us are willfully ignorant because we know what the word means and we still say it because we are convinced that because we're Black, we have some kind of inherent right to say this word. And I'm telling you, we do not. We gotta stop using this word. We cannot continue this. I'm gonna repeat this and then I'm gonna let it go. We are above this word. Do you guys hear me? Ladies and gentlemen, men and women, young men, young women, girls, boys, even babies. I know they won't be able to understand me right now. All they say is goo goo gaga, they can't understand me. But years later, this video will still be here. Even when I'm dead and gone, this video will still be here. Thank God for the internet in that sense, right? Listen to me very carefully. I believe in our Black community. I believe in the potential of our Black community. And I love our Black community. I love my Black brothers and sisters. We are above this word. We are above calling each other the N-word and then wanting to punch a white dude in the face for using the word that we just said was a bad word, but yet we still use it because we feel like because we're Black, we can use it. And nobody can tell us otherwise. And white people are scared to call Black people out on it because they don't want to get called a racist or they don't want to get, beat down. And I understand that. Oh my God, I understand that. I understand the pressure for a white person to see what Black people can't in their own community and yet want to call it out because it actually has an outward effect on our white brothers and sisters. But they choose not to say anything to us because they know how that's going to go down. You don't have to be Black to talk about Black issues as long as you're right. I don't care if you're Black, white, red, yellow, green, blue, pink, purple, orange. I don't care. No one and I mean no one, has the right to use this word and then hold it over people's heads who aren't black and have them tap dancing and tiptoeing and trying to like duck and dodge when they're listening to our black media, our black music, and our black movies. Why do they have to accommodate for us when we're the ones putting out this derogatory term and saying it's okay? Why are they the ones that have to pay the price for what we've put out there? They shouldn't. The buck stops with us. We may not have started with that word. We may not have brought that word into existence, but we perpetuated it. We grabbed a hold to it. And again, we pulled it out of the past, brought it into our present, and carry it on our shoulders. And we convince ourselves this is a word that is now going to be used as a word of joy and endearment. And it's a way to take our freedom back. You're clinging as a free man, clinging as a free woman, clinging to a word that had more prevalence in the slavery times and in Jim Crow, back when black people were oppressed. You're taking a word because you convinced yourself we can change it. And yet, when a person who's not black says it, it actually defeats the argument that we've taken the word and we've repurposed it and made it a joyful word. It's no longer joyful anymore when someone who's not black says it. This is a double standard. That's why I made the video a year or two ago. I think the video was titled, "Idols Don't Take Black People Seriously When We Tell Them, don't use the N-word." And then I think the subtitle was "The Hypocrisy, the N-word Problem." Something like that. And in that video, I talked about what I'm talking about now, except I'm expounding even further in this video because it must be said. It must be said. I think I've pondered on this long enough. And I have built such an argument. I had to listen. I used to use it too when I was a kid, all the time. Me and my friends, we used to watch the Boondocks back in the day. Now, if anybody knows about the Boondocks, you know that that word is littered all throughout that show. You hear the N-word every other word from a lot of the characters in that show, okay? And because of that, I started saying the N-word even more. Out of ignorance, of course, but after a long time of sitting and thinking about it, pondering over it, I grew out of that word. I couldn't use it anymore because I asked myself the question, why is it okay for black people to use it, but when a white person uses it or any other ethnicity uses it, it's all of a sudden bad? If we claim we've repurposed it and we've terraformed the word to meet our modern day vernacular of what it means to be an N-word as black people. And I stopped because I no longer believe that this is a logical thing to keep doing. And I will not subject my children to that kind of verbiage, and that N-word will not be allowed in my house. Point blank, period. With a cherry on top. Won't do it. Won't do it. They will learn how to speak proper English, and they will not be using Ebonics. I don't know why, because they're going to take after their dad, who doesn't use Ebonics when he speaks. I've heard people say, hey, you sound like a white guy when you speak. Why? Because I speak proper English and don't use Ebonics or slang. So speaking properly means that you sound white all of a sudden. What is this? What is this? I'm coming from a place of love and understanding. I understand that the black community has taken it, but I have an understanding as to why this is not helping us. We're losing the ideological battle trying to explain and justify why it's okay for black people to use a racial slur and why it's not okay for other ethnicities to use that racial slur, because it doesn't make sense. Because the answer is, oh, it's because I'm black. That is not good enough. That answer is not good enough for common sense, intellectually thinking black people who know what that word means. That answer won't cut it. It won't cut it for me. It won't cut it for everybody else. It won't cut it for a lot of white people either. They just won't say it because they're too afraid to say it, and I understand why. So it takes somebody like me to come to the forefront and say what everybody who has common sense has been thinking for decades about this word. So that's why I'm making this video. That's why I'm doing this, because it's important and it matters to me and it matters to everybody else in the world. It really does. This is not black culture. We've codified this into black culture, and it's not. Why would we want to claim a racial slur as a part of black culture? Does that make sense? Does that really make sense to y'all? And you justify saying that word by saying, well, I'm black, so I can say it. What? So you're putting racism into this. You continue the cycle of racism by doing stupid stuff like this. And if you continue down this path, you will always lose the argument. Every single time. We talk about racism all the time in this country, and yet we don't even realize that we're part of the problem. We're part of the problem when we say things like the N-word, and then we make everybody else feel uncomfortable because we're saying it. And then when they say it, then all of a sudden we're uncomfortable. But like 2 seconds ago, you were using it with someone else. But now you're uncomfortable because this white guy said N-word when he shouldn't have. And the whole point is that we just shouldn't say it. Let's just not say it anymore. Just stop saying the word. That's my call to action for the end of this video. Can we, as the Black community, stop imposing this stupid word that is racial, that is evil and demonic? It is satanic, and it's from the pits of hell and needs to go back to the pits of hell from whence it came. Can we stop imposing this on other people of other ethnicities because of the color of their skin? They can't say it, which honestly, the truth be told, nobody has the right to say this word. Really, nobody. Everybody's free to choose what way they want to speak, but there's a point where privilege to say a word that is derogatory goes a little too far. Honestly, privilege to say a derogatory term goes too far anyway, because that's what your argument is as the Black community. We are Black, our ancestors were enslaved, thus we have a right, by virtue of being Black, to say a racial slur and use it however the high hell we want. And I say to hell with that terrible argument. We gotta do better. We gotta be better. And we gotta stop with the double standards and holding everybody else to a higher standard than ourselves, and actually take this word seriously enough that we stop saying it altogether so that everybody can be free from our oppressing them by telling them, hey, listen to our music and like it, but don't say the N-word, like tap dance around the N-word. Because guess what? It's easy. You can do it. It's not hard. No, they should not be made to do that because of our ignorant racial slur that we use. They should not be made to do that. That is bondage and slavery of another kind. You're enslaving them and oppressing them to do something for you. This is stupid, and it needs to stop. No one's that special. No ethnicity is that special. Absolutely not. Who made you so special? Slavery didn't make us special. We're not the only ethnic group that were enslaved. Just in case people didn't know that, we're not the only ethnicity that were enslaved or persecuted in some way. So we're not that special. Stop treating slavery like it was something that is only tied to Black people and nobody else, okay? It's ridiculous. And all that ties into the N-word, the right to say a racial slur. It all ties into, well, we have a right because we were enslaved by the white man who called us that word. So now we get to take it and do whatever we want with it and make it our word. Why would you want a racial slur that was used against your people to be preserved by your people? Anyway, my point is we're not that special. So we need to stop acting like we're that special. You know, it's funny because these are the same people that will say, you ain't that special. You can't do this. You can't do that. Why? You ain't that special. You better do that. Guess what? You're not that special either. So why don't you stop trying to impose on everybody to not say a word that is evil anyway, when you yourself should not be saying it? Because guess what? You ain't that special either. But anyway, I'm rambling. My point, I think I've made my point very clear, and I've conveyed my words without yelling and screaming. Pray for my voice, please. But yes, that's all I wanted to say, guys. This video has gone on long enough. And I'm sorry because I'm doing all this stuff and I'm supposed to be working on the Taman video, and it's already been recorded and filmed, and everything. I just have to edit it and everything. And it's not fully edited. And it's probably not going to be a long video either. But oh no, I keep putting myself in this situation. But anyway, let me know how you feel about this in the comments. It's all right to duke it out in the comments, but if you do so, please do so respectfully, especially with the nature of this topic being what it is. And yes, I think I'm going to title this A Message to the Black Community About the N-Word. Something along those lines. So anyway, let me know how you feel about it in the comments. I love you guys with all my, I really do. I love you guys very much. I'll catch you in the next video, which will be K-pop related and not Black community related. Yay. All right. Love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.